This week, on the start of our fourth week indoors, we've got special guest Mr. Andy Bridgewater, owner and operator of the MWXC Race Series. So strap in as we bring you up to the race pace. And welcome back to Race Pace, sponsored by CW Motorsports. I'm Doug.
And I'm Chad.
And we've had some technical difficulties getting this show going, but I think we finally got something working here. So, as you're all probably aware from being cooped up indoors, there's still no racing happening yet. The country is pretty much on shutdown, and really no end in sight. Maybe June, who knows at this point. But we do have Mr. Andy Bridgewater here, who is the owner and operator of the MWXC series, that's going to talk to us for a little bit about what they've got going on. And Andy, I know you had a successful round one, and then this whole COVID-19 thing struck, and now you're probably sitting down there wondering about the rest of the series. But tell us how you're holding on down there.
We're doing pretty good. It's not something that's on my mind every day. I'm in the middle of moving and also getting the lawn care business up and going for the year. So I'm fortunate in that aspect, but race wise, yeah, we're a little nervous that we're going to be able to fit 10 rounds in this season with everything the way that it is. Hopefully they let us go back to normal at the end of this month. That way we have only postponed round 2 at that point and everything will be good, but it's not looking promising. Hopefully everything changes soon and we can get back to racing, but we will see.
Yeah, I know a lot of series right now are basically in that exact same boat. And like you said, we're just waiting and seeing. We have no idea when this thing's going to let up and when the government's going to let things go back to normal. So at this point, probably June is a realistic estimate before things return to what we would call something like normal, which means you might be out. You've already missed round 2. That might look like round 3 and 4 are in jeopardy. Any chance you're going to try and reschedule those, or are we just going to have to accept a shorter season at that point?
I have not put a lot of thought into whether we're going to be able to reschedule them or not, because both of those properties are farm parking, or I guess crop parking, to where it'll have to be in the fall before we could go back there. And we'll just have to see how it all goes. I would love to race both of the properties in North Salem, especially Hunt Creek. We haven't raced there, and this will be the second year, so I'd love to race there. I hope that we get to anyways. We'll have to play it by ear, but there's also the fear of being stacked up on top of other race series as well. That's not a good feeling to have to cancel an event because of something like this, but it's new for everybody.
Yeah, and like you said, you really are at the mercy of the farmers there. As we've said before on other shows, that a lot of these are farm properties, and so if they've got crops in, they're not really keen on having 1,000 people tromping around out there.
Yeah, that's correct. Yeah, and if it continues to rain, they'll be late getting the crop in the ground, so it may be November before they can get it out to where we could even come in and start setting up the start line, finish line, and such.
Yeah, we're just going to have to deal with what Mother Nature gives us, and so far there's been not a whole lot of goodness this year. But Andy, for people who aren't familiar with the MWXC series, give us just a kind of an overview history of where you guys started, where you came from, and where you think you're heading.
All right. Well, we started. This is the start of our 12th season. We've put on over 115 events now. I think, I think this one would have been 115, 116. We started out racing down at Aspen Acres in Laurel, Indiana. I was a racer, and Danny and Becky Mullins approached me. They wanted to start promoting motocross events and didn't want to do the hare scrambles anymore. And I'm a glutton for punishment and thought that it'd be easy money to go hang some arrows and make a bunch of money. And that wasn't the case. We raced only at Aspen Acres for the first year and a half. and that just become a real dangerous situation. They weren't willing to shut down the property while races were going on. They sectioned part of it off, and it was just impossible for them to make sure that Jeeps and sand rails weren't out on the track while we were racing. So
man, holy cow.
Yeah, it was dangerous. So we got out of there into the second season and started racing in Kentucky and Indiana. Our second year, we had 4 races in Kentucky and 4 in Indiana, and the numbers just weren't enough to travel. So we now only race in Indiana, and it works better that way.
Yeah. So you got any big plans for this year? You just kind of gonna do the same thing you've been doing? I mean, what do you got looking forward to this year?
Well, we have 4 new race locations, 2 in Sullivan, Indiana, and 2 in Terre Haute. The Sullivan property is where we had our round 1 and was going to be round 2. Now we've pushed it back to June. It's a super neat piece of property. We had a lot of good feedback on it. It was old coal mine ground, old Peabody coal mine that they stopped mining back in 64 is their guess of when they pulled off of that property. And it's got really, really neat topography with being man-made hills everywhere and huge pine trees. It's like you're in Georgia. You were there, weren't you?
Yeah.
You get to make it out in the woods?
Oh, yeah. I ran track sweep for the day, and, man, you talk about neat, especially when you get back there a little bit. Yeah. All the little man-made lakes are just so clear and blue. That just awesome property. It really was an awesome property. Yeah,
and there's talk of him opening up another couple 300-400 acres before we go back again, as long as all of the cards play out, and eventually it'll be about 1,800 acres, and I think we're going to work with him and partner up and open up another off-road park in the state. So that'll
outstanding.
That'll be geared more towards the racers. It'll be open only on the weekends, and there will always be a good practice track set up that will be marked. So if there's not a Midwest race or a race anywhere in the state, you can come down and get some seat time in on a safe track and not have to worry about, running off of a cliff or anything like that, out play riding somewhere else. So I'm excited about that.
That's going to be a super awesome opportunity for racers there.
Yeah, there's a lot of neat track out there because it's being logged right now. So there's a lot of neat logging paths and logging roads that'll make a really good track, especially for side-by-sides.
Yes. I'm really excited to get the side-by-side guys out there. We've got a good track already mapped out for them. There was some complaints about how fast the track was, and it was a very fast track, but we set up for the thought of it being muddy, and wouldn't you know it, it wasn't. So it made it even faster because they didn't have to worry about their machines weighing them down and also, being slick. But it has a lot of neat stuff to offer, and we'll be back in North Salem, hopefully, at Hunt Creek. We didn't race there last year. They wanted the property to heal, after they had it logged, and that's about it on that one.
Well, as you guys have grown, you've had to kind of continue to move and find new properties, because ones that were fan favorites from back in the day but may have only been 120 acre property, they're just not big enough anymore to support a race like your, as much as you've grown and the amount of participation you have. So which ones have you had to cross off the list fairly recently that just can't support your size anymore?
Well, sometimes it's not the size of it; it's just that they need a break. Most of the properties that we race on, they're big enough. There's a couple that are kind of on the small side, but for the most part, I don't like racing a property after it gets completely beat up. I don't like the racers to have to come out and their first lap they're already wore out because of ruts from last year. And we always try to do our best to take the skid steer out and groom the trails up, but at a certain point, you take a 7-foot wide skid steer bucket. By the time you pull the berms and such back in, then the track is 12-14 foot wide. So the next time that we race there, it's a highway, and that's not woods racing either. So sometimes it's good to just let a property sit for a couple of years. Martinsville is always a fan favorite, but it was time to let it sit. We've raced there for 9 years now, and we took a break a couple of years ago, and when we come back, Mother Nature healed it a lot better than I could. So, and that's the plan. We'll be back to a couple of the properties that we didn't race at this year. It's just nice to have the opportunity to race on new ground and give other ones a break, and very understanding landowners that allow that.
Actually, that's an interesting point that I think a lot of people probably haven't considered, is just how hard it is on the properties. And yeah, after a while, you just got to give them some chance to heal.
Yes. Yeah, Martinsville is definitely one that takes a beating. People tend to think that muddy events is harder on a piece of property. It's not. It's the really dry soil that is the hardest on a property, because it takes their ground and puts it into the air and blows it all over the neighbor's property. And I mean, there's been times where we were sweeping after the ATVs got done at Martinsville Mayhem, and the berm is handlebar deep, and every rock and root is exposed. It's hard on them.
Well, and Martinsville's actually where Chad had to hotwire. Was it a quad or a bike?
It was a quad.
Yeah, you get a little bit of everything out doing track sweep.
Well, he was riding through the silt that was right there at the Pro Hill go around, where is that rock garden, and it always got super deep with silt. And somehow he knocked his key out, and it fell into the silt, and it was gone.
Yeah.
So he rolled to a stop right where I was sitting, and he's like, "My key's gone." I'm like, "Well, I can hotwire it if you want." A couple minutes later, I had him fired up, and he was racing. So
yeah, I seen my first one at the round one this year. A guy stopped and asked the fastest way to get out. He said he was done racing. I asked him if he was okay. He said, "Yeah, I'm fine. I just lost my rear shock bolt." I said, "Well, you lost it. Did you find it?" He said, "No, I had to put a stick in there, and I've got a picture of it. I'll post with this video." And I don't know how in the world he did it, but he whittled the stick down, and it was strong enough to hold it, and he was able to ride all the way out on a KTM dirt bike. That's a first in 115 races.
Yeah, I've never seen a stick used as a shock bolt. So.
Yeah, me neither.
Sometimes it takes a little inventiveness to get back in line.
That's right. That same hill that you were talking about this last year on Saturday night, I was running to try to fix that big rock hill in Martinsville in the skid steer, and I was cleaning up the go around. And when I went down the hill, it put all of the fuel in the skid steer all the way to the front of the tank, and I ran out of fuel on the hill with the bucket up enough to where I couldn't get out. Luckily, I got it to fire enough to put it down, and went hiking back and hitched a ride back out there and dumped some diesel in it and got it going again. So, yeah, it's always interesting, that's for sure.
Yeah, I'm convinced if you hang around a race series and you help long enough, you'll see about everything out there.
Yes, you will. Rattlesnakes and everything else.
Yeah, but it's always been fun. We've been hanging around there with MWXC. What's it, 3 or 4 years now? I don't know.
2017, something like that was the season we raced.
Yep.
Yes. Yep.
I think. So yeah, I announced for Andy for a couple of years there, and yeah, we've done a little bit of everything around the series. So.
Yep, that's right. Don't ever ask me if there's anything you can do. I will put you to work.
Hey, can I help? Yes, you can help, and we'll find something.
That's
Day
right.
Day one, we went out there, and Andy had got us in.
Yeah, we weren't even racing because that round one that we went to, there was no side-by-side, so we just walked up and said, "Hey, we're going to be here anyways. Can we help?" Next thing I know, I've got a microphone in my face, and the announcer telling me, "Hey, I'm leaving." It's like, wait, what?
Yeah, I've got a friend that has an ongoing joke with me. They always say, if you ever go over to Bridgewater's house to hang out for a dinner, you better have on your work boots and work gloves because you're doing something.
That's not a bad thing.
No, when you're busy, you got to take the help when you can get it.
Absolutely. Yep. Well, if you had to ballpark on a weekly basis how many hours you put in, because you mentioned you've got a landscaping business, you've got other things going on, but if you had to ballpark how many hours per week this series takes out of your life, what would that be?
That's a hard one. The week of the event is normally, or I say leading up to the event, we normally put in between Ryan and I, we'll put 7 or 8 days on track setup and then another 2 days on start line, finish line, and all that. But then I've got 5 trailers that I normally take from Greenfield, which is east of Indianapolis, to the west side of the state. And that I'd normally have 2 to 3 full days of just taking trailers places. And I get real fortunate sometimes and can put the trailers in Crawfordsville at Ryan's house and not have to tote them all the way back over here. But as far as a weekly tally, it's hard to say. I'm all over the place. Whenever I spoke with you guys earlier, I was being chased out of an old barn on the building by a raccoon because I got excited. I found a piece of diamond plate and I went to grab it and a raccoon almost jumped on me. So there's always something different going on.
Oh man, and your boys all race. I mean, the whole family's definitely committed to the enterprise here. In fact, your oldest is even helping you with track setup now.
Yes, Evan started a couple years ago helping hang arrows and just a little here and there. And last year, he and the younger 2 boys, with some of my help, they set up the last 3 Pee-wee tracks of the year pretty much on themselves or by themselves. So that was a proud dad moment.
Absolutely. Well, hey, is there anything else you need people to know about the 2020 season once it gets kicking here again, or anything up your sleeve you want people to know?
Nothing new. We've got teamed up with Race Face Graphics. He's taking care of all of our website this year and all of the social media stuff. I think he's doing a fantastic job getting that moving in the right direction and getting the information out there better. We've got a ton of good staff still. I think we ended up getting 3 new ATV sweepers that help out with a track sweep and 2 new bike sweepers. So that'll help us get started on time better. Nothing else really. The 2 Terre Haute properties are real nice ones. They are pretty close to town, so it'll be close for anybody that needs to run and grab anything that they may have forgot.
That's good.
A shock bolt for a bike.
Yeah.
Or something to whittle a stick down. You know?
That's right.
Well, speaking of that website, Andy, if people want to get a hold of you, what's the best way to do that?
On the website, they can email me there. All of my contact information's on there. It's MidwestCrossCountryRacing.com. And that'd be the best way. If you can't get a hold of me through email, Facebook Messenger works, or my phone number is on the website as well.
And if you're looking for kind of get a feel for the race community itself, Midwest XC has a very active Facebook page as well. So if you jump on and just look for Midwest XC, you'll find their Facebook page, and there's, I don't know, thousands of members there. So if you need something, it's pretty much it's about 10% race talk and about a 90% part swap. You know, kind of like a swap meet.
Yes.
But it's if you need something, you can probably find it there.
That's right.
All right, everybody. Well, if you're looking for us, you can find us on the web at www.eminentperformance.com. You can also find us on Facebook and Instagram /Eminent Racing, on YouTube /Eminent Performance. And if you're looking for the audio version of this, the podcast, just go to Google Play, Stitcher, iHeartRadio, iTunes, any podcast outlet like that, and look for Eminent Performance, and you'll find us as well. And if you could do us a huge favor and drop us a like or a comment, or, you know, if you don't like us, whatever, any information is better than no information at all. So go ahead and do that for us if you could. We want to say a huge thank to all of our sponsors. Of course, CW Motorsports, who has been our title sponsor this year. Watch Communications, who hosts the podcast and our website. Spanx Fab, who makes fantastic aftermarket accessories for your UTVs, including all the way up to full race cages. Whatever you need built, they can make it for you. And 834 Powder Coating, who can make your old machine look new again, or your new machine personalized for whatever sponsors and other graphics you need on there. They can take care of you on that front. And Chad, is there anything else we need before we close up shop here?
No, I don't think so.
All right, Andy, we really appreciate your time. We know you're a busy guy fighting raccoons and scavenging diamond plate, but thanks for taking a few minutes to come on the show with us here.
I really appreciate everything you guys do for the sport. It's greatly appreciated. Everything from coming out and helping me set up the PA equipment to answering any sort of questions I have over the phone, and also for having me on your podcast here. Thank you guys both so much.
Hey, the pleasure's all ours, and I promise we will not be strangers this year. We'll come and bug you at least one more time.
All right, bring your work gloves.
Always do.
Thanks, guys.
All right, everybody. Well, we appreciate you riding along with us, and we'll see you next time.
All right, see ya.
See ya.